welcome back to our channel. In this video, we are going to talk about how to travel London on a budget. So before starting, please like this video, and subscribe to our channel for future updates. London is often seen to be an expensive city to visit, especially if you are traveling from a country where the exchange rate is not in your favor. That being said, there are some really easy and nifty ways to visit London on a budget that each visitor can follow. London on a budget is possible, to live in London or to visit, but you do need some local tips and advice on where to cut costs and expenses, as we provide below. 1. Travel costs in London. Okay, so hoverboards aren't yet a thing, obviously, but wherever possible, which is pretty much everywhere in London, take the bus, tube, water taxi, or cable car. If you're traveling alone or with a small group, this is usually the most cost-effective option. If you're traveling with more than 4 people and the distance is less than 2 miles, consider hiring a private car from a company like Uber. For added London feels, you may now request a traditional black cab through their app. Just be aware that you will be charged a premium fare for the privilege. Another way to save some of that dosh is to hire a London cycle, which Londoners fondly call Boris bikes, after the mayor of London who introduced them. They are a relatively inexpensive way to tour the city, and there are hundreds of pickup and drop-off spots strewn around central London. If you do decide to pedal in London, be cautious, to avoid sounding like a parent. It can be a pretty safe city to cycle in, but if you are unfamiliar with the area and are cycling on the opposite side of the road, it is possible to lose focus. There is another, apparent, and completely free method to move around our great city, and that is, of course, by walking. I've seen tourists to the city clamber into the tube to get to the next station in 30 seconds. This is understandable for some folks, but if you can get those feet going and enjoy our city streets. Plus, if you calculate in walking to and from the train, walking will be just as quick as taking the tube. In addition, London has some lovely architecture and is a lovely city. Make the most of your trip time by going for a walk, taking in some of the historic landmarks, and saving money. It is, without a doubt, one of the most cost-effective ways to visit London. 2. Finding a hotel in London. This could be the most expensive expense in London in many ways. Prices in London are comparable to those in other large cities such as New York, Paris, and Hong Kong. But fear not, there are methods to save money and still visit London on a budget. Consider reserving a serviced apartment if you want to stay in some of London's most iconic hotels while also having your own personal space. This option becomes particularly cost-effective when 3 or more people stay, as a 1 to 2 bed flat may be shared. You can save up to 30% compared to standard hotel rates this way. The second option is to search for a deal. Some hotels offer seasonal discounts when occupancy is lower, so keep an eye out for times when you see an offer. If neither of this work, hop on sites like Airbnb that has thousands of properties in London. 3. Eating in London. Oh, the food. London has so much variety. Everyone knows that a sandwich or wrap from the convenience store is a cheap alternative, but what if you want to eat good food and have a restaurant experience without breaking the bank? In general, Brick Lane and East London are good places to go for a cheap supper. After all, this part of London is home to some of the best curry restaurants in the city. Many of the restaurants will try and sway you into theirs. Just remember you can always barter for a better offer in Brick Lane as there is so much competition. We typically get a few beers added to our meal for free. It's one of the only places in London where I have found you can do this. Camden Town Market, as well as all of London's other markets, is another choice for cheap cuisine. There are a variety of food vendors and tiny restaurants here that provide all types of food you can think of. Thai, British, Hungarian, Polish, and extraterrestrial cuisines will tempt your taste buds and your wallet. It's one of the simplest and most cost-effective ways to visit London on a budget. 4. Visit like a Londoner. Do you want to go on a river cruise but the price is prohibitive? Most residents are aware of these simple techniques for getting a significantly cheaper riverboat over the Thames. Take the Thames Clipper, which is operated by Transport for London, to royal boroughs such as Greenwich and other parts of the city. You may board and pay with your Oyster card, which is far cheaper than a river trip. You still view all of the sights, landmarks, and history, but from a different boat, making it a cost-effective way to experience London. As for destinations like the London Dungeons, the Aquarium and Madame Tussauds, there is nearly always 2-for-1 offer for more commercial sites. This all means that with one full-price ticket purchase, the other person gets in for free. These offers are usually on cereal boxes. Check within food stores like Tesco or Sainsbury's, or with your train tickets, too. Additionally, keep in mind that the British Museum, National Portrait Gallery, Tate Modern, Victorian and Albert Museum, Imperial War Museum, Natural History Museum, and Science Museum are all free to visit. You may easily spend weeks in these locations, making it a cost-effective way to see London. 5. Join a festival in London. Another wonderful method to save money while having an action-packed day is to go to London during a festival. The New Year's Day Parade, the Notting Hill Carnival, Pride, and Chinese New Year celebrations are just a few of the fantastic festivals that take place throughout our city. If you want to spend a relaxing afternoon without spending too much money on a book you've always wanted to read, visit the British Library. It's one of just handful libraries in the UK that holds every book ever written. It's truly a haven for bookworms and a fantastic way to see and explore London on a budget. 6. Fund your night out. No night in London is ever the same, trust me on this. There are so many awesome places to explore, even if you're looking to visit London on a budget. Many bars, live venues charge a cover fee at the door. This can sometimes be countered by arriving at the gig early when they host free entries up until a certain point. Another way to keep costs low is to buy your ticket in advance. If you have a talent, there is another way you can have a perfect night out without spending a dime. Take part in a comedy evening or sing a few sets of your songs. Or, how about sharing poetry? 7. Shop around for accommodation. London and cheap accommodation aren't usually associated, but you don't need to spend thousands of pounds each night either. Shop around and know the areas. Quite often areas that are slightly outside the tourist zones, a 5-minute walk even, will have much cheaper and better quality rooms. For families, try looking at the newer styles of hotels that have family rooms as the norm. Getting one expensive room will often be cheaper than 2 cheaper ones for those of you visiting London on a budget. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go and also press the bell icon so that you can get notification about our new videos. If it was helpful, then share it with others. Thanks for watching the video.